Hi, I found something on the internet I find very interesting dealing with Islam. If you don't want to sit through this video, actually want to read it to yourself, type into your web browser Isa Ruhollah, that's capital I-S-A, then Ruhollah, that's capital R, then U-H-A-L-L-A, and it's segment 2 called The Before Scriptures. I think I'll name this video The Before Scriptures. Well, we'll see. But I would like a Muslim's comment about, or some comments after I'm done with this, okay? The Before Scriptures. The Quran speaks of some books that it calls the scriptures that were before. It also tells us the name of these books. They are the Torah, the Zabur, and the Injil. The Torah, English Torah, means the law. This book contains the story of the creation and the story of how Allah worked in the world from Adam to Ibrahim. Then from Ibrahim to Moses, to whom Allah gave his law, and from Musa, the coming of Isa Masa, Jesus. The Zabur are the Songs of David, or Dawood. These songs were actually songs about the greatness of Allah. They teach us many wonderful things about Allah and His ways. They were sung by what the Quran calls the people of the Scriptures, who were the people of Israel. The Injil, English Gospel, that's English for Gospel, is the book about the life, teaching, and command of Isa Masih, that's Jesus. The Quran is very clear about where these books came from. Surah Al-Imran, Surah 3, verse 45 through 48 says, O Miriam, Allah gives you glad tidings of a word from Him. His name shall be Masa Isa, and Allah will teach him the book of wisdom, the Torah, that's the Torah, and the Injil, the Gospel. Surah 4, verse 163. To Dawood, that's David, to Dawood we gave the Zabur, Psalms. This could not be any clearer. These books came from Allah. They are the word of Allah, yet most Muslims do not read these books. Why don't Muslims read the Before Scriptures? There are two reasons that are given for not reading the Before Scriptures. First, it is often said that these scriptures have been changed or corrupted. But also, some say that since the Quran has come, these Before Scriptures are no longer valid. That is, they have been set aside. Are these two statements about the Before Scriptures true? We need to look and see what the Quran says about this. First, we must ask, have the Before Scriptures been changed? Surely, if it was true that the Before Scriptures have been changed, the Quran would say this very clearly. The Before Scriptures were being carefully copied hundreds of years before Hazrat Muhammad was born. Hazrat Muhammad knew of these scriptures, so what did he say about them in the Quran? Surah Al-An'am, that's Surah 6, verse 115, says, Perfected is the word of your Lord in truth and justice, and none can change His words. He is the hearer and the knower. The Quran says very plainly that no one can change all His words. It can't change all His word. It says Allah is listening and that He knows. He is watching over His word. So, who changed the Torah, Zabur, and Injil? Who found a place so dark and desolate that Allah could not see or hear and then changed His word? Of course, no one can hide from Allah. But some will say this ayah only speaks of the Quran. But that is not what it says. It plainly says the word of your Lord. In this ayah, Surah 6, verse 115, it says the kalima of the Lord. Many other ayat speak of the Quran. In those ayat, the word Quran is used. We saw that the Quran says that the Torah, the Zabur, and Injil are the word of the Lord. They came from Allah himself. So, either the Quran is right and all his word cannot be changed, or the Quran is wrong and the Torah, Zabur, and Injil have been changed. It cannot be both ways. Surely, or I say certainly, if the before scriptures had been changed, the Quran would have given clear warning to stay away from these corrupted books. Allah is the hearer and knower. He would have known that they had been changed, but this is not what we find in the Quran. Indeed, we find that just the opposite is true. The Quran encourages us to find out what is in the before scriptures. The Quran encourages us to find it out in there. In fact, the Quran tells us that if there is something we do not understand in the Quran, we should go to the before scriptures to understand. Surah Yunus, that's Surah 10, verse 94 says, quote, "If you are in doubt concerning that which we reveal unto you," the Quran from Allah, "question those who have been reading the book," and the Bible, the scriptures, "from before you. The truth has indeed come to you from your Lord, so be in no wise of those who are in doubt." And we see something very special throughout the Quran. Again and again, the Quran tells us to remember the stories of Noah, and Musa, Moses, or Ibrahim, or Isa, and many other prophets. But we find in the Quran only a few short ayat about these prophets. But in the Torah, Zabur, and Injil, we find pages and pages of the stories of these prophets. We see what they did, and what they taught, and what their lives taught us about Allah and His ways. How can you remember these stories if you do not know them? So the Quran is telling us to go back and find out what is in the Torah, Zabur, and Injil. Listen to what these ayat say. Surah Al-Imran, Surah 3, verse 93 says, "Say to Israel, bring the Torah and study it if you are men of truth." Bring the Torah and study it if you are men of truth. If any after this invent a lie and attribute it to Allah, they are indeed unjust wrongdoers. Surah Al-Ma'idah, Surah 5, 46 and 47 says, "And in their footsteps the prophets, we sent Isa, the son of Maryam," that's Jesus, son of Mary, "confirming the law that had come before him, a guidance and admonition, correction, to those who fear Allah. Let the people of the Injil judge," that means the Christians of the gospel, "judge by what Allah has revealed therein. If any do fail to judge by what Allah has revealed, they are those who rebel." Surah Al-Ma'idah, Surah 5. "If only the people of the book," the Jews, CIF 64, "had believed and been righteous, we should indeed have blotted out their iniquities, sins, and admitted them to gardens of delight. If only they had stood fast by the Torah, the Injil, and all the revelation that was sent to them by their Lord." Maybe even St. Paul, huh? "They would have enjoyed happiness from every side." So, anyway, I've got to stop here. I'm going to make a part 2 now. Bye.